guys, welcome to Beware the Awakening. Took a Quantum Shift featuring the new Iron Crown EX from Temporal Forces with a Twin Shuttle attack, hitting 50 damage to 2 of our opponent's Pokemon for 1 Psychic and 2 colorless, with this damage completely unaffected by weakness, resistance, or any effects on those Pokemons. It also has the Cobalt Command ability, giving all of your future Pokemon except any Iron Crown EX a 20 damage boost for their attacks on your opponent's active Pokemon. We also have our Reboot Pod and Energy Switch to help us play our shuttle on our first turn going second, with multiple switches for the extra snipe with our Iron Valiant EX. We also have one Miraidon EX to do Repulsion Bolt, hitting 160 damage for 1 Lightning and 1 Psychic if our opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on them, which matches really well with our Iron Valiant's Tack and Bits, with our booster Energy Capsule and Iron Crown's ability for the damage boost. We've also got one Darkrai VSTAR and one Cyllene to retrieve our Ace Pack and switches, 4 Ciphermaniac and 4 PokéStop to search for the right items, with 2 Squawkabilly and 1 Radiant Greninja for the draw support. Finally, we have 1 Baby Miraidon for the turbo charge, just in case of our Ace Pack prize, 1 toolbox to dig for our capsules, which can be replaced by an Arven, 2 Earthen Vessel with 2 Jet Energy, 9 basic Psychic, and 2 basic Lightning Energies. So that's all for the deck list. Now let's go for some gameplay and see how well this deck works. Okay, let's go for our first game with Quantum Shift. So I'm not really too sure which is better, going first or going second with this deck. Going second, you actually get to attack first. You get to attack on your first turn, either with Repulsion Bolt, or if you're lucky, if you get the Energy Switch with your PokéStop and Ciphermaniac, if you have enough discards for you to play the Energy Switch, because we actually need to discard a lot of energies. If you don't attach enough energy, if you only attach 2 with your first Reboot Pod, it's okay because we do have Darkrai VSTAR and Cyllene to cycle back to reuse that Ace Pack item card. If you discard the VSTAR though, because we do have 2 Ultra Balls, but only 1 VSTAR, so if you prize the VSTAR as well, you have the Pokégear to dig for the Cyllene, but we only have 1 copy of that as well, so it's actually pretty risky. It is obviously better if you can get more energies with your first Reboot Pod, because you may not be able to retrieve it at all, but we do have the potential. We have either the VSTAR or the Supporter to retrieve that 1 item. So only expect to retrieve it 1 time if you're lucky. So don't expect too much, but if we get stuck though at any point, we can always play Miraidon, then Baby Miraidon to charge up our Pokemons on the bench while doing extra damage with our Cobalt Command, having Iron Crown in play, the standard way of playing our future box, which is Miraidon, Turbo Charge, preparing for your next turn to attack with either Iron Valiant, Miraidon EX, or your Cobalion, not Cobalion, it's Iron Crown. So Twin Shuttle is actually pretty cool, hitting 50 damage to any 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. You can target their bench, you can actually hit them even if they have Manaphy in play. It ignores all effects on your opponent's Pokemon, and that means you actually get to cut through Manaphy's bench barrier ability. It's Water Veil, not bench barrier, but you guys know what I mean. So that's actually a pretty cool thing, because it's the first ever bench snipe that actually allows you to ignore. It's the first sniper that ignores all effects, and that includes Rigid Band, Rock Chestplate, any other tool cards or stadiums that reduces damage like Full Metal Lab. Anything that they have that forces you to do less damage, you get to break through that and do 50 raw damage to any 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. It's not a lot, but it is, you know, significant. If you do it early, that's why we have our Energy Switch. That's the reason we have Squawkabilly to help us dump and, you know, take out the right items, discard our energies fast so that we get to play our Reboot Pod and attach those energies. Remember, if you don't get the Reboot, if you don't have the Reboot in your deck, if you have it priced, make sure to play Baby Miraidon first. That is the golden rule of this deck. So make sure to check if you have the Ace Pack in your deck the first search that you do, whether with a Nest Ball, Techno Radar, or Earthen Vessel. When you're searching for those energy or basic Pokemons, you can always check the deck to see if you have that Ace Pack. Also, another important thing about this deck, make sure to play your Squawkabilly's ability before playing your first supporter. If you go second, I understand that there's a lot of risk. You may not get your next supporter card, but we do have Pokégear and PokéStop to dig for it. If you get your Pokégear after drawing the 6 cards, then you could actually potentially get another Ciphermaniac. If you had to play your PokéStop to dig for the Pokégear, then there's no point anymore, just because if you play Ciphermaniac right now, then you can't actually dig for the cards unless if you have Greninja, right? If you have Greninja in play, you could actually play your PokéStop first to dig for the Pokégear, or you could actually play Greninja to dig for the Cypher. Whichever one you choose. It is a bit risky. This deck has a lot of risk in it, but if you don't get it, you can always play a Miraidon for the turbocharge. So we have a good failsafe built in. What I'm trying to say is that if you play your Ciphermaniac before Squawk and Seize, then you're actually setting yourself up for failure, because you can't actually attack after that, right? Because you have to discard, you have to think about this. You need to discard your energies. You need a full bench of multiple future Pokemons, and then you need the Energy Switch with the Reboot Pod. So if you try to do all those things, all of that, by simply playing the supporter before drawing cards, is going to be a lot more difficult. Make sure you play the supporter after using Squawkabilly's ability. I cannot stress that enough. I keep making that bad mistake, so make sure to do that, right? I've played this deck for so many games. Please do not make the same mistakes that I did. Also, don't play Greninja as well. Use Squawkabilly's ability first and then play Greninja, right? Greninja, you get to use Greninja's ability for Ciphermaniac. You get to play Greninja's ability to dig for other cards. You have a lot of options for your Greninja. As for Squawkabilly, you don't have as much options for it, right? If you have Reboot Pod in your hand before discarding your hand as well, you gotta think about ways to counter that, right? If you have Reboot Pod, you may not be able to play Squawkabilly at all, which is fine. We still have Greninja and PokéStop. If you are forced to discard it, if you may be able to play your Darkrai VSTAR on the next turn, which isn't ideal. So I feel like you shouldn't really be discarding your hand. If you have the Reboot Pod in your hand, I don't think it happens a lot. I've played probably more than 30 games with this deck, 40 even, just because I've been trying to cook this deck for 4 days, the past 4 days, and it keeps failing. Eventually, I thought of Darkrai VSTAR, I thought of Cyllene, which actually makes this deck a lot better, because you could have the potential of playing the pod a second time. I thought of Ciphermaniac as well with PokéStop, which is the perfect combo to dig for the right items that you need. So it doesn't happen a lot, it's pretty rare. It happens to me about 2 or 3 times after playing 40 games, about 40, close to 40 games, and the Reboot Pod never shows up as your first hand. The first 7 cards that you draw before you play your ability, before you draw cards. So if you draw, for example, if you play Greninja's ability, or if you play your PokéStop first, if you discard and draw, you may actually get your Reboot Pod in your hand before playing your Squawkabilly's ability. How bad would that be? You would have to discard your hand, you have to discard the pod, and you're not actually able to do that before playing it. If you played without discarding enough energies, without having enough future Pokemons in play, then you actually would be wasting the ace pack anyways. So that's the reason why I say always play Squawkabilly's ability before doing anything, But of course, you have to use up your item cards before actually discarding your hand, because you don't want to be wasting your item cards, right? What I'm trying to say is Squawkabilly helps you discard your energies, and then, you know, by drawing the 6 cards, you get to bench your Pokemons, right? I'm repeating myself a lot, but it's just super important. The first few moves that you make with this deck is so important. It's really hard to play. But if you do get that early snipe though with your Valiant and Iron Crown, the feeling is sublime. I can tell you that, especially against Charmanders, if they bench 2 Charmander or 1 PG, 1 Charmander, taking those 2 out early game is just the best feeling ever. I cannot even express that, even if they have a Manaphy in play. Can you imagine? Even with the Manaphy in their active, we can still take out the Charmander. And that buys us a whole extra turn to do it again by switching a couple times. Obviously, we have a limited amount of switch cards in this deck, but, you know, we can easily just take out like 4 of their baby Pokemons, take 4 prizes, and then deal with the Radiant Charizard later with our Repulsion Bolt, with our Laser Blade as well. We got our Iron Valiant to attack. We got our Darkrai VSTAR to retrieve our pod. We got enough turns, more than enough turns to attach the energies with our Vessel from our hand, or to play the Energy Switch just to satisfy the attack cost. We do have a lot of energies in play. If you attach 4 with your first pod, you actually get to Energy Switch into your Iron Crown for the first attack, and then Energy Switch a second time if you have the second copy in your deck. Energy Switch a second time to attack with your Valiant after they did the knockout on your crown before playing your next pod, or you can still attach energy from your hand 1 turn at a time as well. And as I said, you are buying yourself a lot of turns by doing baby knockouts. If they play like basic EXs or V-Star decks, like, if they don't have any baby supports like 𝑭𝒂𝒓𝒄𝒅, if they are playing like Arceus V-Star with Giratina, if they don't have any like low HP Pokemons in play, you still have your Repulsion Bolt and Cyber Drive. Cyber Drive is doing 220 damage, plus 20 more for each Iron Crown you have in play, plus 20 more for the booster capsule you attach onto your Miraidon EX. So you actually get to do a lot of damage with that thing. It's actually a beast. You also get to snipe even more. You get to place damage counter with your Iron Valiant as well. So if you have your Crown, Valiant, and Miraidon in play, it's actually a crazy boost. You can actually do Repulsion Bolt for 160 first before you do your Cyber Drive, which actually gives you the potential of knocking out their basic V or EX before they evolve it on your first turn. Pretty cool, right? 160 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 2 damage counter plus 2 damage counter. That's all we need, right? It's not easy to get your tool card though, but we do have that one toolbox to help us search for the booster capsules. We can also play PokéStop to dig for our toolbox. If we discard the capsule before getting the box though, it would be pretty bad. So for some reason, if you play Arven, the energy capsules show up a lot easier in your first hand. So you actually get to attach it after playing your Techno Radar, but we only have 2 radars now. So if we discard our first hand with Squawkabilly, we actually get to, if we had to play Techno Radar after using Squawkabilly's ability, then we can't attach the tool card anyways, right? But we would probably get at least one of the future Pokemons in our hand to start with, like a Miraidon or a Iron Crown already in our hand, or a Nest Ball even. If we get the Nest Ball, we would need to bench the Squawkabilly though, so it's really hard to say. But if you play Arven, for some reason the capsule shows up a lot easier in your hand compared to if you play Toolbox. So I'll leave you guys to decide which one to play. If you play the extra supporter, you may actually be clogged with too many supporter cards in your first hand. I haven't tested it. I think I tested Arven with 3 Ciphermaniac and 1 Tracking Shoes. That was actually okay, but I feel like 4 Ciphermaniac is way better, right? But the thing about Toolbox is that if you discard the Toolbox with the PokéStop with your Stadium card, you get to put it into your hand and then play the Cypher on the next turn. If you get the Cypher from the top deck or with your Greninja by discarding energy from your hand to draw 2, you could actually play the Cypher and then use your Toolbox to get the booster capsule out. Whereas if you discard the Arven with your PokéStop, it doesn't get retrieved into your hand. So I guess that's the disadvantage, the pros and cons of playing Toolbox versus Arven. It's really hard to say which one is better, but for now I feel like this list is okay, so I'm just gonna stick to Toolbox. Why not, right? It's basically a mini shield to protect your booster capsules from being discarded with your PokéStop early. If you do get it in your hand though, sometimes it's better to play that item a bit later, because if you play it too early, you're just not gonna get your tool cards. We're only playing 2 copies of the energy capsule, so don't expect too much. Sometimes it's just better to wait for your next Cypher, right? But anyways, I think I'm just gonna end the voice over here because focus on the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Today we have for you our Iron Crown EX Future Box with Miraidon, Iron Valiant, and Reboot Pod. We have Darkrai VSTAR Cyllene to give us the double potential of retrieving our Reboot, our A-Spec card. We also have our Energy Switch to help us, and PokéStop to help us play our Twin Shuttle as early as the first turn to take out any baby Pokemons before they evolve into their EXs. We have our Iron Valiant for the ping as well. So that's all for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye for now, people. Enjoy life! Bye!